We are now stepping into the early days of June 2026. A full quarter of the year has quietly passed. From the outside, your life may still look relatively stable. You wake up every morning, go to work, carry your responsibilities for your family, smile when you need to, and maintain the image of a strong, dependable adult. Nothing dramatic has collapsed. There hasn't been some obvious disaster. On the surface, everything seems fine. But when night falls and the noise of the world fades away, when you finally sit alone with your own thoughts, something deeper begins to whisper. Do you ever feel a strange kind of exhaustion you can't quite explain? Not the kind of tiredness that comes from physical effort, but something heavier, almost like a thin fog settling over your mind. You still have goals. You're still trying every day, yet somewhere inside, it feels as if you've become stuck. Nothing is truly falling apart, but nothing is flowing either. It's like walking through thick, quiet mud. You're not sinking completely, but every step forward takes far more effort than it should. You push yourself harder just to keep moving, and the more you try to speed up, the more drained you begin to feel. Sometimes you catch yourself sighing quietly, wondering where you went wrong, asking why everything suddenly feels so heavy. But the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong, and you are not someone who lacks effort or discipline. Be a little gentler with yourself. Don't punish a person who has already been trying so hard for so long. But here's the deeper truth you may not have noticed yet. When you finally acknowledge that you are tired, the most courageous thing you can do is not to push harder. It is to pause, to breathe, to step back just long enough to listen to what your inner world has been trying to tell you. And strangely enough, it almost feels as if the universe itself has been paying attention to that quiet exhaustion within you. Because as we move into this new phase of the year, something subtle begins to shift. Instead of talking about working harder, achieving more, or forcing outcomes, the conversation begins to change. We begin to talk about transformation. Right now, a rare energetic opening appears to be forming, a small window where old weight can finally be released, and something new can begin to take shape. This isn't simply motivational language. It reflects a deeper movement in the currents of energy that shape our lives. The middle of this month carries a very particular rhythm, almost like a reminder from the universe itself that sometimes everything can change in a single moment of awareness. Alongside that shift, the cycle of the new moon brings a fresh wave of energy, gentle, quiet, yet incredibly powerful. Its purpose is simple: to clear away what has become outdated and make space for new beginnings to emerge. The sky during this period carries an unusual harmony, as if different forces are aligning to support healing, connection, and a deeper sense of love within the human experience. These energies reach into the most hidden parts of your inner world. And as this month gradually unfolds, even larger movements begin to build in the background. They prepare the stage for a completely new cycle of awareness, one that allows you to step outside the patterns that once kept you stuck. In many ways, this moment acts like a quiet reset point, not a violent disruption, but a gentle yet incredibly powerful recalibration offered by the universe itself. It is as if the weight of the past few months is finally being lifted from your shoulders. The only real question left is this: are you willing to step through that opening and allow yourself to begin again? Or will you continue carrying the same heavy story into the next chapter of your life? Now let's go a little deeper. From the time we were young, most of us were taught a very simple rule about life. If you want something, you have to work harder than everyone else to earn it. You were told that success demands sacrifice, long nights, constant pressure, and relentless effort. And while that idea is not entirely wrong, it has quietly trapped many adults inside a cycle of endless strain. We push ourselves harder and harder, staying up late, overthinking every decision, trying to force reality to bend in the direction we want. We treat life like a wall that must be broken down through sheer effort. But something very important becomes visible around the turning point of this month. Around this moment, a different understanding begins to open. Think of what people often call the quantum perspective, not as complicated physics, but as a way of seeing life. From that perspective, the reality you experience right now, your financial struggles, your career obstacles, the situations that seem stuck, may feel solid and immovable, but they are not nearly as fixed as they appear. They are simply possibilities, different probabilities waiting to collapse into form depending on where your attention and energy are directed. The universe does not operate through exhaustion or brute force. It responds to vibration, frequency, and the awareness you bring to the present moment. Imagine trying to smash through a wall made of water with a hammer. The harder you swing, the more tired you become, yet the water simply returns to its shape. That is exactly what many people experienced during the first part of this year. They fought harder, worried more, planned more, pushed themselves further, believing that more effort would solve everything. But the real issue was never on the surface. It existed at a deeper energetic level. This turning point acts like a quantum shift in awareness, a moment that reveals something profound. The structure of the reality you see around you is far more flexible than you were taught to believe. And once you begin to understand the language of energy, you realize something powerful. You do not need to exhaust yourself to change your life. What truly shifts reality is not frantic action, but a transformation in your internal frequency, a quiet clarity of intention, a calm certainty within your mind, and a willingness to align your inner state with the future you want to experience. So what should you actually do when this opening appears? Should you rush back into your routine, double your workload, and try to push even harder than before? No. In fact, the opposite is true. This is one of those rare moments when reality becomes surprisingly flexible, when the pressure that once felt immovable begins to loosen its grip. It is a period when the game can be completely reversed, but not through struggle or force. The real secret of this phase is far simpler than most people expect. Instead of trying to control every external circumstance, you learn to move with the energetic current that is already shifting around you. Imagine for a moment that you are sitting in a small boat. During the first months of the year, the waters were rough and unpredictable. Waves were crashing against you, and in panic you grabbed the oars and tried to fight the current with all your strength. You rowed harder and harder, exhausting yourself, wondering why no matter how much effort you gave, the boat barely moved forward. But now something has changed. The current has begun to move in a different direction. The wind is filling the sail, and suddenly your role is no longer to fight the river. Your role is simply to lift your head, loosen your grip on the oars, and gently adjust the direction of the boat. The steering wheel in this metaphor is your mind and your intention. When the current shifts, the most powerful action is often the smallest one, a subtle decision to realign your direction. And some of those decisions can feel surprisingly simple, yet deeply transformative. It may mean deciding to stop feeling sorry for yourself and reclaim your inner strength. It may mean choosing to stop pouring your time, energy, and money into situations that your heart already knows are no longer right for you. It may mean forgiving yourself for past mistakes and refusing to carry the weight of old chapters into the new one that is beginning to unfold. Sometimes the only shift required is a quiet change in perspective. The moment you allow yourself to believe that ease and flow are not things reserved for other people, but something you are also worthy of experiencing, the entire energetic landscape begins to rearrange itself. When the resistance inside you dissolves, the world outside you naturally begins to open. When you align yourself with the current instead of fighting it, opportunities begin to appear in unexpected ways. The right people show up at the right time. Conversations unfold that lead to new possibilities. And situations that once felt impossible begin to organize themselves almost effortlessly, without the constant tension that once drained your energy. But there is an important truth we must face with complete honesty. The gate may be opening, and the surge of new energy may already be available, like a powerful current of electricity waiting to flow through a system. Yet not everyone who steps into this moment experiences renewal. For some people, instead of rising, everything seems to collapse even further. Conflicts intensify. Emotional chaos increases. Situations that were already fragile suddenly explode into crises. And the obvious question becomes, why does this happen? The answer is simple, even if it is uncomfortable to admit. It happens because many people are still carrying too much internal debris. You cannot pour pure wine into a glass that is already filled with dirt and sediment. In the same way, you cannot channel a powerful surge of energy through a system whose wiring is already damaged. Those hidden fragments we carry inside us are not mysterious things. They are the unresolved wounds we have never truly faced. They are the limiting beliefs that quietly shaped how we see ourselves and what we believe we deserve. They are the resentment we continue to hold toward people who hurt us, and the habits we know deep down are no longer aligned with the person we want to become. Many people say they want a new life. They say they want prosperity, freedom, and peace. But at the same time, they are not willing to clean the inner space where that new life would have to enter. When a large surge of energy enters a system that is not ready to receive it, it does not create illumination. It creates overload. Sometimes it even creates collapse. So the real question becomes this: how do you step through this moment without being overwhelmed by it? How do you connect with this reset point in a way that strengthens you instead of burning you out? The answer is surprisingly clear. Before anything new can truly begin, something inside you must first be cleared away. This is not about rearranging your external life. It is about a deeper kind of work. It is the beginning of an inner surgery, not one performed with knives or force, but one carried out through courage, honesty, and the willingness to face what has been quietly living inside your own heart. Earlier, we stood at the entrance of what could be called a reset gate. A powerful new current of energy was beginning to move, full of possibility and renewal. But we also confronted a very honest truth. You cannot plug a corroded, rust-covered connector into a high-voltage power source and expect the system to function smoothly. If you try, the circuit will spark, short out, and possibly burn. In this metaphor, that connector represents your personal energy field, and the layers of rust covering it are not mysterious forces outside of you. They are the emotional residues you have been quietly carrying for years. As adults, the wounds we hold are rarely loud or dramatic anymore. They are deeper, heavier, and often silent. Perhaps it is a quiet resentment towards someone who once turned their back on you when you trusted them the most. Maybe it is the memory of a business partner who betrayed your confidence. Or perhaps it is the lingering regret of a financial decision that cost you dearly, money that left your life and never returned. And sometimes the deepest wound does not come from others at all. It comes from the way you look at yourself. You watch people around you move forward, achieve stability, even success, and you begin to wonder why you still feel stuck, why your life seems to be unfolding more slowly than theirs. Those thoughts can return in the quietest hours of the night when everything else has gone silent. But now, in this moment of transition, we are invited to look at these experiences through a completely different lens, the lens of energy. In the energetic dimension of reality, every thought and every emotion carries its own frequency and weight. Feelings such as regret, resentment, and self-blame are not just psychological experiences. They act like dense fragments of energy. Each time you replay a financial loss in your mind, a portion of your life force is pulled backward into the past. Each time you revisit someone who hurt you, you reconnect your energy field to theirs, keeping yourself tied to the very frequency you believe you have already left behind. It may feel as though you are holding them accountable, but in truth you are holding yourself in place. These energetic fragments accumulate like corrosion on that connector, forming a barrier that prevents new currents from flowing into your life. Peace, opportunity, abundance, they may still exist around you, but they cannot fully reach you because the channel is blocked by what you continue to carry. You cannot receive something new while both hands remain tightly clenched around the old. No genuine transformation can occur in a field that remains saturated with unresolved attachment. Yet the universe always provides a moment for release once awareness appears. When you begin to recognize the corrosion, the opportunity to cleanse it emerges as well. There are periods when the energetic environment itself supports this process of inner clearing, moments when gentleness, emotional honesty, and compassion become powerful tools of renewal. During such moments, you are not required to force strength or pretend that nothing hurt you. Instead, you are allowed to soften, to acknowledge what has been weighing on your heart, and to begin letting those burdens dissolve. This is where true inner repair begins, not by denying the past, but by refusing to allow it to control the energy that shapes your future. At this point, the process becomes very practical. The moment you recognize the weight you have been carrying, you are given the opportunity to release it intentionally. Think of it as a small but powerful cleansing ritual for your energy. Right now, pause for a moment and take a slow, deep breath into your lungs. Let it travel all the way down into your abdomen, And as you exhale, imagine every layer of heaviness leaving your body. You may not realize it, but even a simple moment of conscious breathing begins to loosen the grip that old emotions have on your system. After that, there is a symbolic step that can reinforce this shift. When you put your intention into words, you transform an invisible decision into a tangible action. It is like wiping away the final layer of dust that has been clinging to your energy field. The reason this clearing process matters so much is because of a fundamental principle that operates throughout the universe. Only an empty vessel can truly receive something new. Imagine your energy field as a beautiful crystal container. If that container is already filled with muddy water, the resentment, regret, and emotional residue of past experiences, then no matter how much pure water is poured into it, the clarity will immediately be lost. The same principle applies to opportunity, prosperity, and peace. These things cannot fully enter a life that is still crowded with unresolved attachment. But the moment you decide to release the past, something remarkable happens. You create space. And that space is not a form of emptiness in the negative sense. It becomes a powerful magnetic field. Nature itself moves to fill a vacuum, and the same law applies to the energetic dimension of your life. When you clear away the old emotional weight, the universe responds by sending new currents, new opportunities, new ideas, new connections into the open space you have created. In that sense, letting go does not mean losing something valuable. It means clearing the ground so that something far greater can be built in its place. By releasing what no longer belongs to you, you transform yourself into a clean, open vessel once again, ready to receive whatever new possibilities are now beginning to move toward you. Now we arrive at one of the most important stages of this entire process. Earlier we talked about cleaning the connector of your energy field, clearing away the rust of resentment, regret, and unresolved emotions. But a clean connector lying on the floor is still useless. To produce light, it must be connected to a power source. And this is exactly where many people make their most critical mistake. After releasing the past, they suddenly become desperate to rush into the future. They try to force results again, pushing themselves with impatience and anxiety, believing they must immediately prove that everything has changed. But the universe does not respond to pressure or desperation. To connect with the larger network of abundance and opportunity that exists around you, there must be a precise form of alignment. This alignment can be understood as what we might call the activation of your quantum heartbeat. To understand this idea, begin by observing the way most people start their mornings. When the alarm clock rings, what is the first thought that enters your mind? For many adults carrying the weight of responsibility, the morning rarely feels peaceful. Before their eyes are even fully open, their mind begins replaying the same familiar concerns. How will I cover that bill? Where will the next payment come from? Will this deal succeed or fail? What happens if everything falls apart? Within seconds, the body enters a state of tension. People grab their phones, check messages anxiously, scroll through financial notifications or unfinished tasks. The heart begins beating faster, not from excitement, but from a subtle form of fear. The entire day begins with the nervous energy of someone who feels cornered, someone preparing to fight for survival. And while that reaction may feel normal in modern life, from an energetic perspective it becomes extremely destructive. When you wake up thinking about lack, you broadcast a very clear signal, the signal of scarcity. In essence, you are telling the universe, I do not have enough. I am struggling. I am afraid of losing what little I have. And the universe responds by reflecting that frequency back through your circumstances. The more you worry about money, the more financial tension seems to appear. The more you fear losing opportunities, the more opportunities seem to disappear. This is how the loop continues day after day. Breaking that loop requires changing the way you begin the day at the deepest level of your internal state. Instead of waking up in a state of panic about what must be done or what you desperately want to achieve, the practice of the quantum heartbeat invites you into a completely different internal posture. It asks you to shift into what can be called the state of already being. This does not mean pretending or lying to yourself by repeating exaggerated affirmations that your mind knows are false. Your subconscious is intelligent. It immediately recognizes when words do not match reality. The true state of already being is more subtle and more powerful. It is the cultivation of a genuine feeling within your body that the major problems weighing on you have already been resolved. Imagine that at this very moment, a miracle occurred. Every debt you were worried about has been paid. Your bank account contains more than enough to support you comfortably for years. The ideal opportunity you were hoping for has already appeared. If that were truly the case right now, how would your body respond? Your shoulders would soften. Your chest would open. Your breathing would slow and deepen. A quiet sense of relief would move through your body, and a calm smile might appear on your face without effort. That relaxed rhythm inside your body is the frequency we are talking about. It is the energetic heartbeat of stability and abundance. The practice of the quantum heartbeat means allowing yourself to embody that internal state before the external evidence appears. It means teaching your nervous system what safety and sufficiency feel like in the present moment. Think of your mind and heart together as a powerful broadcasting station. Every thought you think is a signal. Every emotion you feel amplifies that signal into the surrounding field. You are always transmitting something, whether you realize it or not. The question is simply which channel you are broadcasting on. When the channel is fear, urgency, and desperation, you become tuned to situations that mirror those same qualities. But when you adjust the inner dial and begin transmitting calm certainty and quiet confidence, something remarkable begins to happen. Your signal begins to resonate with opportunities, people, and circumstances operating on the same wavelength. In physics, this is known as resonance. When two waves share the same frequency, their energy multiplies. In human life, this appears as what many people call coincidence or luck. In reality, it is simply alignment. The calmer and more stable your internal rhythm becomes, the more your life begins attracting experiences that match that frequency. Opportunities appear without frantic searching. Helpful connections emerge naturally. Even financial pathways begin to organize themselves in ways that once seemed impossible. Ironically, one of the deepest truths about the universe is that desperate attachment tends to push desired outcomes away, while calm certainty draws them closer. This calmness is not laziness or indifference. It is the quiet confidence of someone who already knows that the path is unfolding. When you work from this state, you still give your full effort to your actions, but you release the frantic need to control every result. That shift creates a powerful energetic stability that people around you can feel. Clients trust it. Opportunities move toward it. Resources flow more easily into systems that feel open and steady rather than tense and fearful. To begin practicing this shift, start with something very simple each morning. When you wake up tomorrow, resist the impulse to immediately reach for your phone. Instead, remain still for a few minutes. Take 3 slow, deep breaths and feel the air filling your lungs. Place your hand gently over your heart and allow your body to relax. Then silently remind yourself of a new orientation. You are not chasing life today. You are aligning with it. Let your mind settle into the quiet certainty that the right opportunities are already moving toward you. Those first few minutes after waking act like the moment when a clean connector is finally plugged into the larger network of energy. The signal you send at that moment begins shaping the rhythm of the entire day that follows. And once you learn how to return to that calm internal frequency again and again, you begin to realize that the sense of being trapped in the earlier part of the year was never permanent. It was simply the result of broadcasting from the wrong channel. By mastering this inner rhythm, you begin reclaiming the power to shape the reality unfolding around you. However, maintaining this inner alignment for a single day or even a few days is not the real challenge. The real challenge is stabilizing this frequency so deeply that it becomes your new identity, a permanent internal operating system rather than a temporary emotional state. And this is where the timing of this period becomes far more significant than it may appear at first glance. The energetic movement of this month does not stop with the earlier shifts we discussed. As the days move toward the end of the month, something much larger begins forming behind the scenes. A major astronomical transition begins to unfold, marking the start of a completely new 7-year cycle. During moments like this, old structures that once seemed stable begin to loosen, and entirely new pathways of opportunity begin appearing in places where they did not exist before. At this point, It is completely natural for a skeptical voice inside your mind to question all of this. You may be thinking about the very real responsibilities in your life, the bills that need to be paid, the pressures of work, the responsibilities toward family. It is reasonable to wonder how distant planets or cosmic cycles could possibly relate to those practical concerns. But the deeper truth is that human life has never been separate from the larger system that surrounds it. Just as a small boat cannot ignore the currents of the ocean it floats on, we cannot pretend that the larger energetic movements shaping our environment have no influence on our experience. When the ocean is calm, you can slowly row your boat and still move forward. But when a massive current begins to shift the direction of the water itself, ignoring that current will not make it disappear. It will simply determine whether you move with the flow or struggle against it. This period functions very much like the arrival of such a powerful current. The language of planetary movements and energetic gateways may sound symbolic, but underneath that symbolism lies a genuine shift in collective momentum. Entire systems begin reorganizing, economies evolve, technologies accelerate, social structures change, and new patterns of opportunity emerge that were not visible before. In many ways, reality itself begins dividing into two very different trajectories. The first path is the continuation of survival mode. This path belongs to those who refuse to release their resentment, their fear, and their attachment to the exhausting belief that life must always be a constant struggle. When the energy of transformation amplifies around them, that mindset becomes intensified. Effort begins producing smaller and smaller results. Stress multiplies problems instead of solving them. People find themselves working harder while feeling increasingly trapped. The second path is entirely different. It belongs to those who pause long enough to clean their internal field and stabilize their inner frequency. When someone does this, the amplification created by this energetic window begins working in their favor. Instead of magnifying chaos, it magnifies clarity. Instead of amplifying scarcity, it expands opportunity. New ideas appear. Helpful connections form. Situations that once seemed blocked begin reorganizing themselves in unexpected ways. The truth is that no one can remain between these two currents forever. Whether consciously or unconsciously, each person eventually begins moving toward one of them. And the challenges many people are facing right now are not random misfortune. In many cases, they are signals, strong signals pushing you to abandon outdated strategies and step into a different way of navigating life. The exhaustion you have felt, the pressure that has been building, the sense of being pushed into a corner, all of it may be part of a larger process designed to break the old patterns apart. Because sometimes the only way a person becomes ready for transformation is when the old way of living finally becomes too heavy to carry any longer. And that is exactly why the final days of this period carry such importance. They prepare the stage for a moment when the old structure begins collapsing and a completely new cycle of life starts unfolding in front of you. Enough preparation, enough quiet breathing and drifting through gentle thoughts. Now it is time to open your eyes. This is the moment where the internal work you have done must meet the reality of the world outside you. The cleansing has happened. The rust has been removed from the connector of your energy. The frequency of your inner broadcast has been recalibrated. And now we arrive at the turning point where theory becomes transformation. We are standing in the final days of this cycle. And the atmosphere around this moment is anything but ordinary. There is a strange sense of pressure building in the background of reality, as if the air itself has become electrically charged. The universe is speaking through a language of transition, and the date at the center of that shift is April 25th, 2026. This is not a passing celestial event like a meteor shower that people casually watch and forget. It marks the moment when Uranus, the planet associated with disruption, awakening, and radical change, enters the constellation of Gemini. And this movement signals the beginning of a completely new 7-year cycle. For the past 7 years, many people have been operating under an outdated internal system, one built on stress, sacrifice, overwork, and the belief that prosperity only comes through exhaustion. That old operating system is now reaching its expiration point. When Uranus activates Gemini, the sign connected with thought, communication, and the way human consciousness interacts with reality, A command is essentially issued across the energetic network of our world. Update required. Old mental patterns begin breaking apart. Long-standing financial barriers suddenly reveal cracks. Ideas that once seemed impossible start appearing as real possibilities. But here is the crucial truth. You cannot enter a new cycle while carrying the identity of the old one. Transformation requires a conscious crossing. Imagine looking down at your feet and seeing fragments of your former self beginning to crumble away like dry stone. The exhaustion of the past months, the sleepless nights of worry, the self-doubt, the compromises you made to survive, they begin falling from your shoulders like dust. Ahead of you stands something extraordinary, a vast golden gateway of energy opening across the horizon of your life. This is not a soft or gentle light. It is powerful, intense, almost overwhelming in its brilliance. It feels like standing before the core of a massive source of creation itself. From within that gateway comes a magnetic pull, an irresistible force carrying the promise of opportunity, authority, prosperity, and creative power far beyond what you once believed possible. No one can walk through that gateway for you. No teacher, no mentor, no partner can carry you across that threshold. This is a decision only you can make. You reach up and feel the heavy gray cloak still hanging from your shoulders. The cloak of the old year, the old fears, the old identity that believed life was nothing more than endless struggle. And with one decisive motion you remove it. You drop it to the ground and leave it behind forever. As it falls away, a new posture rises within you. Your spine straightens. Your breath deepens. Your eyes become sharp with clarity. There is no hesitation left inside you. You take your first step forward into the field of golden light. And as your body moves through that gateway, something profound happens. It feels as if every cell in your body awakens at once. A silent but powerful resonance spreads through your mind. The energetic code of your identity begins restructuring itself in an instant. The connector of your energy locks perfectly into a much larger network of universal power. Standing on the other side of that gateway, you feel a new sensation flooding your system. The realization that you are no longer a passive passenger of circumstance. You are no longer someone dragged through time by external forces. Instead, you have stepped into the role of a creator within the timeline itself. The identity of the exhausted survivor disappears. In its place emerges the identity of a builder, a designer, someone capable of shaping the next chapter of life with deliberate intention. The 7 years ahead are no longer a mystery to fear. They become a blank canvas stretched across the horizon of your future. And in your hands you now hold the brush. With each decision you make, reality itself bends slightly in response. Prosperity stops being something distant and uncertain. It becomes a natural expression of the frequency you now embody. Standing there, fully inside the new cycle, you slowly turn and look back through the closing gateway. On the other side, you can still faintly see the shadows of the old period, the worries about money, the stress, the people who once brought you pain. But something inside you has changed. There is no resentment left, no lingering regret. When your energy rises high enough, the storms of the past lose their power to disturb you. They dissolve like dust carried away by the wind. A quiet smile appears on your face, not a smile of arrogance, but one of calm authority and freedom. Because the truth has finally become clear, the real journey is only beginning. And if something in this message resonates with you, take a second to support the mission of The Inner Code. Tap the like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for the deeper conversations ahead. By doing that, you help this signal reach others who may be standing at the same gateway in their own lives. Now take a final breath and remember this. The gate has opened, the throne is waiting, and the next chapter of your life is ready to be written by your own hands.